I am beyond excited today to be joined by author Beth Roose. Beth has written, oh God, I can't even count how many books Beth has written, but recently I've had the pleasure of publishing the last two of them. And there'll be many, many more to come, which I am so thrilled by. This is from the Forest Guardians Chronicles, book one, A Matter of Humanity, and the next, Christmas in Cuyahoga Valley. And I believe that is a picture of Cuyahoga Valley right there in the background. And as soon as we are allowed to travel, I know one of my very, very first things is to get in the car and drive over and see Beth and Cuyahoga Valley in person. So Beth, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. And you will love the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. There is so much to see, so many waterfalls. If you're into waterfalls, which I am, and the lush foliage, in the spring. So, and it's got a covered bridge, which you did show.
Yes, I
got the background. It's beautiful. And then, there's just so much to see and do in the valley, including its own scenic railroad.
Oh my gosh. Now, I am a national park junkie, and I must admit I have never been to the Cuyahoga National Park, which
it is
me.
Yeah, well, it's the fifth most visited national park in the country.
How did I miss this?
I don't know. A lot of people do. It's a hidden gem, that's for sure.
Now, how did you get involved so much with the park that you're now writing books that take place in the park?
I know it is strange, but my family owned property and helped form the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. It was first formed as the Cuyahoga Valley National Recreation Area, and then President Clinton made it a national park, and so the story began. Of course, I have a love because, the ledges and around Virginia Kendall Lake is all part of my ancestors' properties. Virginia Kendall Lake was named after Emma Geppert. Her dad was a big doctor there, and so that was named after her and is part of the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. When I really became involved with the park, it was because I love Christmas, and the Cuyahoga Valley Scenic Railroad had a Polar Express program from Chris von Allsburg's book, The Polar Express. And so they were just starting it and really were floundering. They had no idea really how to train elves. And so I was recruited for that job. And I'm lovingly called Elf Sparkle because everything has to sparkle and glitter for Christmas. And so that's how I segued into volunteering at the park. And, I just love the beauty of the park. Well, then I moved away, had a job out of the state for, nearly 30 years. So I moved back recently to help my dad, who's 87. And he's been a treasure trove of information about the park and sharing his experiences. And one of the experiences he shares that I share with everybody is I went on a tour with one of the rangers. There was a group of us, and it was right after my Elf Sparkle Meets Christmas the Horse film came out. And so we brought the cast there, and so we rode the train, and then we hiked the ledges. And so we get to one part of the ledges where Icebox Cave is, and I talk about that in most of my films and books. And so you walk around the back of those ledges and cave, and there's carvings. So here's the park ranger telling of how the Indians carved these. And my dad was with me then, and he started laughing, and he goes, "I'll have you to know my brother and I carved those." In front of this whole group of people. I thought that poor park ranger was going to melt into the ledges. She was so embarrassed. After after the tour, she asked to speak with my dad and she said, this is important information. Thank you. And, but please don't ever say that because it sells more tours saying the Indians did it. I was like, wait a minute, this is the national park. Don't we tell the truth? Apparently not. So, just little things like that. So, because of my love for the park, all my films and almost all of my books are centered in the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. So, I just extended that love into books. Now, another love of mine, of course, is Sasquatch, the Ohio Grassman. And there is many, many legends of Sasquatch living within the park boundaries, along with the Pukwudgie and what people know as the Peninsula Python, which, it snows here. I'm not quite sure how a python lives here, but apparently it does. So that is in a future book for the spring. But at any rate, that's, how I segued in. I just have a passion and love for the park. And I love writing about the park. I love interjecting different areas of the park. In my books, we've put a map in there that's kind of true, but we took a little liberty. So I do love that, and here we are.
I love that. It's kind of true.
Kind of true. Well, since we did that map, the ski run was sold. And so they want to put high-end housing in there. I nearly cried when I heard that. I was like, please. And so there was a huge protest with a bunch of maskless people down in the valley protesting at the headquarters saying, no, we will not allow that. And so it's on hold. So I'm not sure what they're going to do with it.
Oh my gosh. Just so our audience knows where the ski run is, that is now going to be high-end housing.
Yes. I hope not. The poor Bigfoot will never be able to leave their containment area. And I see in this map you have Bridal Falls. And the real name for Bridal Falls is Brandywine Falls. Oh. And that was the home of the Jate paper mill, which, they used, of course, a water mill to help, with the equipment way back in the day. And so, but behind that is, which you cannot see, is a cave. And in that cave, it's, all sorts of things happen in my book to come out. The Blues War behind it. Over half the book is about that cave and people hiding in that cave. So this map really does it. It does nothing for it. It is spectacular, especially right now. And then once we get that 12 foot of snow here on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and it begins to melt, the Cuyahoga River will be overflowing, and so will those falls. It will be like Niagara Falls. I cannot wait to go take pictures that day.
All right, and the next book and the next map, we'll have to get that cave in on the picture.
Yeah, we will make we'll need to add a few things like the Grether Farm, which will be sort of close to the Pukwudgie camp and the Blue Heron Rookery.
Okay.
So because Morgan and his wife, Bev Grissom from the Marcia, have children. And so they need an expanded, from a 3-bedroom to a 5 to 7 bedroom house. So they're going to move to the old Grether Farm. Okay. And so that'll be on the new map.
Okay. It sounds to me like the new map is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, we'll have to make it 2 pages.
Exactly. Then we'll have fold outs in a spread.
Yeah, there we go. I like that idea of a fold out. 3D.
Spread. So tell us a little bit about these two books. It is prime shopping season, and yes, it's not too late to order a Kindle.
Correct.
Of Humanity, that stunning cover, and Christmas in Cuyahoga Valley. So give us a little.
Well, the Matter of Humanity, it chronicles the Sasquatch and Pukwudgie tribes within the Cuyahoga Valley, and like I said, there are 4 stories within that book, and it is a fast-paced, fun adventure. It's targeted for teens and tweens, and one is Rider of the Light, the Hornet Queen, the Fire Maiden, or Queen, I forget what we call it, and then A Matter of Humanity. So each book is totally different from the other book, and it's, like I said, very fast-paced, and they're pretty much contained to that map area. So they do not stray from that map area that we have in the books.
Not yet they don't.
I guess my favorite in that book would be the Fire Maiden. And I say that because it is just so much all at once of bad things happening and people being deceitful, and poor Bev at the Grissom farm falls in love with this guy who turns out to be an alien and was out for all of the minerals and the mineral rights within the Cuyahoga Valley. And so, they uncovered that, and it just was, there's a lot of suspense and things that happen, serious things that happen within that book, within that story. So, and of course, the Hornet Queen is right behind it. And I'm sure you all are aware of, the deadly hornets that have arrived in the United States. So this is kind of a spin of that, only it's a hybrid mix of a human and one of the hornet, the deadly hornets. So it's an interesting story if you like stories, and which I do. And so that one, a lot of serious things happen in that book too, but it all turns out for the good. This is a teen book. So I love that book. I love all 4 short stories under one cover. It keeps you interested because you can't wait to get to the next story. So I really like that. The Christmas in the Cuyahoga Valley is 2 stories under one cover, and the lost child really pulls at your heartstrings, that one. And they encounter, of course, the Sasquatch are helping, and at the Grissom farm they find this little boy, one of the Sasquatch, and bring it, but it's a huge snowstorm and no one could get to them. So here's Bev and other friends helping with this little boy. So that's a heartstring pull, that story. And then the other one is the Christmas Gift, and that again pulls a little bit at the heartstrings, and but it's more kind of upbeat with that one. So I don't know, they're both all of the stories are Sasquatch oriented and all in the park, and they're all completely different with different themes, as you can tell, but I actually loved writing every story. And I know you're going to ask me where I get my inspiration from, and I'm going to give a plug. I never know what's going to inspire me. It's something I see, and it's usually, my sister's a couture designer, and she is always sending me pictures of beautiful pictures of these gowns she does that are breathtaking, and the makeup she does is, it's just like, wow. So it's usually one of those things that goes, oh, I need to write a book about that. So, and one I have next to write is the Olympian, and you know which picture I'm talking about, the Olympian women. And she has all these beautiful women with beautiful gowns, looking like they're on Mount Olympus, standing, in different positions on these steps that look like Mount Olympus. So I couldn't help myself. So I never know what's going to inspire me. The Hornet Queen was something I saw on a steampunk site. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm confessing. I'm coming out of the closet. I love steampunk. No, that's I saw a brooch that had this hybrid on it, and I went, oh, I am so making a story out of that. So, it's little things like that. You have to, as a writer, you can't sit there and go, oh my God, I have writer's block. Oh, this is terrible. No, I look for things to inspire me. And, like I said, I never know what it's going to be. I will tell you, I draw most of my inspiration from when I'm sitting, because I take a lawn chair and sit down at Bridal Falls or Buttermilk Falls. And, it just helps me clear my head and think. And I draw inspiration from that as well.
Wow.
And then, of course, my dad's funny stories about the park. So that helps.
Well, you are super inspiring, because you're right. There are so many people who say, I don't know what to write. I have writer's block. I don't know what to do. And you just rattled off, like, did you write those down before we interviewed?
Well, I have to tell you, prior to writing, I did write, but technical computer manuals is what I wrote. So I treat this, I worked for Fruit of the Loom, and I don't know if I can say that, but I worked for Fruit of the Loom. I was there in charge of their computers, and so I did a little bit of everything. But I would work anywhere from 10 to 14 hours, 6 days a week with Sunday off. That was it. And I did that for years. And I take that same structure, that same schedule, and the seriousness of the job, I bring it into writing. This is a job. And yes, it's a creative, fun job, but you still need structure. You still need a schedule, and it helps you know where you're at in the process. And it helps you divide up your day, because I can't sit in front of a computer, or I would be blind by the end of the day.
Right.
I need to break up my day. So I start at 5:30 in the morning. I'm a morning person. So I have my cup of coffee and my grapefruit, and I am cruising the internet while I'm doing that. And so that's my fun time till 6:30, of which I go get dressed. And then I come back, sit down, and read emails. And so this is all delineated out on my schedule. I read emails till probably 7:30. And then at 7:30, I actually sit and write for 3 hours. So by that time it's lunch. And so I have an early lunch. Then I spend from 1 to 2 going, how can I market my book myself? I'm not depending all on Red Penguin. You have to take ownership of your book. It is your book. And so no one's going to have the passion that you have. And so it's taking that passion and channeling it into, who can I contact today? And if it's just one person, at least you're attempting to market your book. And so now, if you're like me, I have children's books, so it's a little difficult right now because libraries aren't open and schools are not open. Daycares are, but they won't let strangers in, even if you ask. So it makes it hard, but you have to be creative. I contacted Grapevine Library, and I sent that to Stephanie, the link where they actually read it on their Zoom call. They read Elf Sparkle Meets Christmas the Horse, which was fabulous. That's one thing you can do. And the other thing was, most of the local news channels are reading during the day to their little preschoolers. So one of the Channel 19 here in the Akron, Ohio area, in Cleveland area, her name was Stephanie also, she read my Jimmy Paul the Pug Tooth Fairy book. And I kept looking. I had to go get the book because I go, is that in my book? It sounded so good. But they're on-air personalities, so they're used to making things sound good. And so, I mean, there are so many avenues that you can try. You can't be afraid of rejection. You can't be afraid of the word no. It is just a word. No. That didn't hurt. It's just a word. No. And you move on. You go, oops, scratch that one off. I'll come back to that one, in a couple months. So, so I spend about an hour a day, trying to reach out and find someone to talk to. And so, you can't let fear rule your life in many ways. So, that's how I work. And, then I go back to sitting down and writing, and then I walk away, and then I'm doing fun things with one of my sisters, or I'm over helping my dad. And then when I sit down about 9 o'clock at night, I have the TV on, and I'm usually watching Star Trek, I admit, or one of those, fun shows, and or King of Queens. That's another favorite of mine. And then I write while I'm watching that, because something they say may spur you to go, oh my God, that's such a great idea. Oh, I'm going to take that and run with it and expand on that. So, I sit till probably, I want to say 11:30. I don't stay up to 1 o'clock, hint, hint. And I do draw the line about no later than midnight. That's it for me, because I get up at 5:30. So
5:30, yeah.
And that's my day. I do that Monday through Friday. You just have to be scheduled about it. You can't be, if you went into a job, you would have set things to do. And so you have to give yourself set things to do.
You are so right. Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me. Well, partly because people really need to read these books. This is fun stuff. And whether you love Bigfoot fantasy series, books that take you every place from having, Sasquatch and aliens and everything in between, you want to read these books. And if you are a national park junkie like me, you definitely want to read these books. But besides that, Beth, I am so excited that you joined us today to talk about your writing process, your marketing process, and the way you are approaching this whole thing like a business. This is something that I say so often to authors, both about the writing and the marketing. And, I think people don't listen to me anymore, but boy, when an author says it, thank you. So,
you're welcome.
Thank you for joining me. And I hope that our viewers out there head on over to the bookstore of your choice, or better yet, the Cuyahoga National Park is going to have them in their gift shop. So maybe when the snow melts, we can all meet up there and do a big book signing. That
would be amazing.
That's what I want more than anything. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And